It's 2025, my sister has bought me a cool new PS5 game for my birthday and I'm making a video about it. It's 2026, my sister has bought me a cool new PS5 game for my birthday and I'm making a video about it. Last year she got me the PlayStation version of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And this year, because apparently she likes to watch me suffer, she got me Resident Evil Requiem. I've been following the marketing campaign for this one closely. The demo was fucking petrifying, the promise of Leon's return was mouthwatering, and that short film with Micah Monroe was not only a really creative way to advertise the game, it gave us the best Resident Evil movie ever made in just 3 minutes. Capcom was promising the best of both worlds, classic survival horror Resident Evil in Grace's half of the story, and over-the-shoulder shooty bang bang action in Leon's half of the story. For decades now, the biggest debate between Resident Evil fans is whether the game should lean more on the horror side or the action side, and Requiem was an admirably ambitious attempt to please both camps at the same time. It set out to have its survival horror cake and eat its action too. You get the visceral, hair-raising terror and painstaking resource management of the original trilogy in Resi 7 and Resi 8, where you're scared to look around every corner and often have nothing more than a flashlight to defend yourself. But you also get the high-octane zombie-slaying carnage of Resi 4 and 5 and 6, where you're basically a post-apocalyptic John Wick mowing down legions of zombies with the firepower of a small army. The back and forth between Grace and Leon made for a perfectly balanced gaming experience.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
I thought the perspective switches might be jarring, especially since they exist in completely different genres, but it's a nice mix of dread and fun, and they complement each other. Just when playing as Grace starts to get unbearable, you've had to run away from one monster too many, suddenly you're back playing as Leon, and you can turn all those monsters into hot stew. The Grace sections have a sense of terror that puts you on edge. Especially since she keeps tripping over her own feet and bumping into walls, which is more realistic, but also very, very annoying when you've got chunk on your tail.
You really are a fat bastard. You know, that hurts my feelings. I've tried going on a diet, you know.
As much as I hate being in those classic Resi predicaments where you're trapped in a dark space with a bunch of monsters and you have to figure out a way out, I do love the adrenaline rush and the sigh of relief you get when you finally solve the puzzle and escape the monster.
Oh my god. Fuck! Oh my god, that was so scary. That was really scary.
And every time you reach that adrenaline rush and that sigh of relief, the Leon sections provide a very welcome respite as you mow down zombies with John Wick level gunmanship. Plus, the game uses those dual perspectives to enhance the drama and put the player in an awkward situation. When you're playing as Grace, you have to spend several hours looking after a little girl named Emily, getting to know her and bonding with her and protecting her from monsters. And then when that turns out to be futile and Emily transforms into a grotesque beast, suddenly you're playing as Leon and you have to blow her head off, all while Grace is feebly calling out for Emily, hoping she's still in there somewhere.
There you go. I need to keep you safe. Okay?
A few moments later.
No, that's Emily! Please stop,
It weaves the survival horror and the crazy action together in a really fun way, but it goes to the absolute extreme of both. It's the best of both worlds, but it's also the worst of both worlds. The Grace sections have the same fear factor as RE7, where you're so terrified it's almost unplayable, and the Leon sections sometimes get so ridiculous you feel like you're playing a goofy set piece from RE5 or RE6. The basement section and the demon orphan flashback from Grace's campaign are among the scariest, most intense sequences in the entire saga. Actually, my friend Matt helped me out with the basement section. I couldn't handle that part alone. But the rooftop werewolf motorcycle chase from Leon's campaign is on the same level of absurdity as Chris Redfield punching a boulder out of the way, or Jake and Sherry riding snowmobiles down an avalanche. The Grace sections sometimes get so stressful that they're not fun to play anymore, and the Leon sections sometimes get so silly you stop taking the threat of the monsters seriously, so it can be a bit jarring at times. While I enjoyed the game overall, the first half is much better than the second. The storytelling is tighter, the tone is more consistent, and the transition points between Grace and Leon's perspectives are a lot smoother. Requiem does a much better job of setting up an intriguing mystery than it does paying it off in a satisfying way. The game's third act feels more like the Resident Evil movies by Paul W.S. Anderson, not to be confused with Wes Anderson or Paul Thomas Anderson, which bore the title Resident Evil but were an extremely loose adaptation. And whether it feels more like a classic Resident Evil game or a controversial Resident Evil movie, it gets very predictable and formulaic in the finale. There's yet another nemesis to blow up with yet another rocket launcher. I also picked the sad ending by accident, which made for a very anticlimactic end to a bracing 10 hours of relentlessly intense gameplay. I was able to go back and pick the right ending, but the do-over really killed the momentum. I know that's my fault and I can't really blame the game for that, but why predicate the ending on a choice if only one of those choices leads to a proper ending? Requiem was supposed to be Capcom learning from their mistakes and playing the hits. They're definitely playing the hits, but I don't know how much they've learned from their mistakes.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
Still, I give this game a solid 7 out of 10. It's not a new peak for the franchise as some people have overhyped it as, but it's far from the worst. It's fun, scary, engaging, and fucked up. Everything you want a Resi game to be. Anyway, see you next year when I'm sure Sophie will have bought me another awesome new game. Maybe GTA 6 will finally be out by then.
What? Keep dreaming.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.